Hello everyone, welcome back to one more video session. Here I'm going to talk about the appendicular skeletal system. There are about 126 bones present in the appendicular skeletal system, 80 bones in the axial skeletal system. Okay, the appendicular skeletal system mainly composed of the girdles that includes the pectoral girdle, which is here. This is our pectoral girdle, and the pelvic girdle. So the pelvic girdle will be here. Okay, which actually connects the limb bones, particularly the hind limbs here by the pelvic girdle and the forelimbs by the pectoral girdle. Okay, and we are going to talk about the bones present in the limbs, that is in our arms as well as in legs. Okay, so first we write the components. The appendicular skeletal system is now classified or divided into two important types or parts. The first part is the girdles. Okay, whereas the second part is the limbs, the bones present in the limbs. So we just write limb bones. Okay, limb bones. And the girdles again can be classified into two types. The first type is, which is present here. So this is the first part or first girdles. Okay, so that can be named as the pectoral girdle. Okay, pectoral girdle, and here this portion is actually the pelvic girdle. So this is pelvic. Okay, so we write pelvic girdle. Okay, so in limb bones again we can classify them into the forelimbs, that is our arms, and the second part is actually the hind limbs, that is our legs. Okay, simple. So pectoral girdle. So if I draw the diagram of a pectoral girdle, first we have a bone which is actually situated here. Okay, you could feel it. Okay, you touch it and you feel it. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is the bone I'm talking about. This is called as the clavicle or the collarbone. So the pectoral girdle mainly comprises this bone called as the collarbone or clavicle, and on the dorsal side there is a triangular shaped structure. You could see here, this structure is actually called as the scapula. Okay, so scapula and clavicle, which makes the pectoral girdle. Okay, so we just we draw that diagram now, and somewhere else here we have that triangular shaped structure. Okay, like this. So this is actually the very important component of the pectoral girdle called as the scapula. It has got one more name also. It's very easy to remember. Scapula starts with S, capital letter S. So this can also be called as the shoulder blade. See, I can also call this or write this as shoulder blade, the main shoulder blade. And this one is actually called as the clavicle, which actually starts with C, letter C, and it is also called as collarbone. Collar also starts with C, no confusion here. If you get any question related to this, it's very easy for you in the competitive examination. So we just write collarbone. Okay. The interesting part is actually, if you just see one of the pectoral girdles, this one is the scapula or the shoulder blade, and this one is actually the clavicle, and here you could see a projection, correct? See, a sharp projection which is actually coming off from the scapula. You could see here this projection. There is a projection like this on one side of the scapula. What do you call for this projection? This projection is called as acromion process. We just call it as acromion process. Okay, so somewhere else here, so just I'll have to show you that just below the acromion process, somewhere else here, there is a cavity. This cavity provides articulation. So see my four limbs. Okay, this is my arm. It has got bones. How many bones are there? 30 bones are there. The first bone is actually called as the humerus. So humerus is attached to this particular structure of the pectoral girdle, which is actually called as the scapula. Got it? So there is a cavity for the articulation, so that I can do all this stuff. Correct? So there is movement. So this movement is facilitated by a cavity here. So this is the cavity. Okay, so you could see the cavity here. See, this is acromion process, and this is the cavity on the scapula. This cavity is actually called as, let me just write, this is the cavity. Let me just bring it down and write, that is called as the glenoid cavity. You call it as glenoid cavity. Normally for your competitive examination, you get a question like name the cavity which is present in the scapula or the pectoral girdle which provides articulation to the forearm or humerus. That is the first bone of the forearm. Okay, so that is actually called as the glenoid cavity. Remember that, very important, very easy. Got it? So you got it. Now we'll come to this portion now. So the cavity, that is glenoid cavity, provides articulation to the first bone. This is the first bone of the arm, a ball shaped structure in our forearm. So this is the first bone of the forearm which is called as the humerus. This is humerus and this is the ball shaped structure of the humerus. Okay, so now let me just show you how exactly the articulation is provided by the scapula cavity called as the glenoid cavity. So this is articulation, got it? So that there is a movement, the movement is allowed. This is called as articulation, a point of connection between the two different types of bones, got it? So this is the important thing to remember. I'm going to talk about this later. Okay, so let us just finish off the girdles. There are two girdles, so we are done with the pectoral girdle. Now if you count the total number of bone in each girdle, so we have one, that is scapula, we have collarbone, that is called as clavicle. So two bones in one pectoral girdle, and here also we have two bones, one is scapula, the other one is the clavicle, correct? So 2 plus 2, 4. In pectoral girdle a total 4 bones are present. So let me just write it in bracket, that is 4. Okay, if you go to the pelvic girdle, how many bones are there? Okay, so this is the pelvic girdle. Okay, so the main function of this is actually to provide articulation to the hind limbs, that is our legs. Legs are removed. Okay, I'll show you later. And here you could see this portion. This is actually the right side and this is the left side. So this portion is actually composed of only one bone. So this is one pelvic bone and this is another pelvic bone. So there are only two pelvic bones which are attached. So let me write here. We have two pelvic bones which are attached. So in pelvic girdle, how many bones you see? Two, only two. Okay, big. It's quite large in size. And if I just show you the structure, see this is the largest portion of the pelvic girdle. I'm just talking about only one pelvic bone, one side. Okay, let us assume that left side pelvic bone, and it has got a very wide flat structure, and this is called as the ilium. So let me just write the pelvic girdle. Let me just write here the first portion which is quite large, which is called as the ilium, and just below the pelvic girdle here, this portion, and you could see a hole here. This is called as obturator foramen. This hole is called as obturator foramen. Okay, this structure is actually called as ischium. Ilium is the large portion of the pelvic girdle. Ischium is situated just below the ilium. So if this is ilium and this is ischium, and this structure you could see here, this structure is actually called as the pubis. Let me just write the pubic bone. Okay, so that is called as the pubis. Ilium, ischium and pubis are the three important tiny bones which are fused to make one large bone, that is called as the pelvis or pelvic girdle. Okay, so on each pelvic girdle we have ilium, ischium and pubis. Ilium, ischium, pubis. Now these two pubis of different pelvic bone are attached by a small cartilage. Let me just write. So two pubis bones are attached by a small structure called as pubis symphysis. Pubis symphysis. You could get a question actually. Two pectoral girdles or two pectoral bones are attached by what? That structure is called as pubis symphysis. It's like a gum or glue which actually attaches to pubis bone. As a result, the two pectoral bones are attached. Done. So now how many bones? So very simple, I have written one on each side, that is 2, a total 2. Very simple. Now see here. You could see a big cavity. Many of the students get confused with that. They think that here the head of the femur bone is attached. No, it is wrong actually. This is the cavity present on each pelvic girdle, and this cavity is called as obturator foramen. Okay, and the main function of this is, so we know that this is actually the vertebral column, and what is there inside the VC? You know that spinal cord, correct? Spinal cord actually produces lot of spinal nerves. These spinal nerves has to go to the lower limbs, correct? Okay, so this is actually provides the way for the spinal nerves to go down to your lower limbs, that is your legs. Got it? So here nerves and blood vessels and even lymphatic vessels, all this structure actually goes down through this cavity. Got it? So please understand, this cavity is only for blood vessels, nerves and lymphatic vessels, not for the articulation of the lower limbs. Very good. Okay, so now this structure, you could see this structure, this is the cavity. This cavity is actually called as acetabulum. Okay, remember acetabulum. Before that, let me write the name of this. This structure is called as obturator foramen. Okay, let me write obturator foramen. So it is understood that the meaning of foramen is nothing but a hole kind of it. Got it? So obturator foramen. Where is it present? It is present in the ischium region of the pelvic girdle. Simple, easy. Okay, so we got it now. And what is the structure which provides articulation to the femur of the hind limbs? This is the structure. You could see that structure, the cavity is there. So how many cavities are there? 2 cavities are there. These cavities are called as acetabulum. Let me write acetabulum. No confusion here. So which provides articulation. Okay, articulation to lower limbs. Okay, so whereas the glenoid cavity provides articulation to the forearm. That's it. So there are 2 types of cavities. One is present in the pectoral girdle, which is called as glenoid cavity. The other one is in the pelvic girdle, that is actually called as acetabulum. Done. Easy. Okay, so this is all about the girdles. Let me erase it and let me just go to the limb bones. Let us see how many bones are there. So now let me just count 4 plus 2. 4 in the pectoral girdle, 2 in the pelvic girdle, which makes now 6. As I said, in appendicular skeletal system, there are about 126 bones. In that, we have completed 6 bones. Now, 120 bones are remaining. Okay, so let us just discuss about the structure of the limb bones. That is 30 present in each arms. For example, like 30 here, 60, and 30 in each legs. 30 plus 30, that is 60. So 60 plus 60, it is 120. So 120 plus 6, 126. That's it. Let us see the names of it in order. Okay, let me erase it. Okay, so now let me just we'll start with this, that is called as the forelimbs. Okay, forelimbs, nothing but arms, the bones present in the arm. So we have got a pair of arms, and in each arm, like we have 30 bones, 30 here, 30 here. So it is nothing but 60. Hind limbs, it is also called as legs. Okay, so legs, in each leg there are about 30 bones. So 30 plus 30, it is 60. Okay, that is 60 plus 60, 120, and 6 bones in the girdles, that is 126. That makes up appendicular skeletal system. It's very easy. Let me just draw the diagram of the arm bone. So this is called as the humerus. Okay, humerus is the first one. Humerus, and the head of the humerus looks like a ball shaped structure, because it has to fixed to the structure which is called as the glenoid cavity of the scapula of the pectoral girdle, that is for articulation. So we'll talk about that later, okay, when I talk about the joints. And this humerus finally terminates, and from here another set of bones arises, and the bigger bone is called as the radius, and another bone which is almost attached to the radius, and this is called as the ulna. Humerus, radius, ulna, and this radius and ulna ultimately terminates with a set of 8 bones, okay, like this, 8 bones, and this is called as the carpals. Okay, carpals, and this carpal is joined to another 5 tiny bones, and this is actually called as the metacarpals. Metacarpals. Okay, so these metacarpals ultimately continue further to form phalanges like this. Okay, so phalanges. How many bones are present in the phalanges? Double L, phalanges. It is actually 14. So let me write 14 here, and this one is actually nothing but 5, and this one is 8, this one is 1, this one is 1, and this one is 1. So if you just count it, 1, 1, 1, 3, 11, and this 16, 14, that is 30. So total we have 30 bones in the single arm. So just by taking this model, it's very easy, and this is now nothing but called as humerus, and this joint between the humerus and the radius is actually called as elbow joint, elbow joint. Okay, this one is actually called as the ball and socket joint. Okay, because it looks like ball. Okay, so now this structure is called as the radius, and this structure is actually called as the ulna, radius, ulna, and this radius and ulna ultimately terminates to form a structure here. You could see around 8 bones here. Okay, as this is model, you cannot see the specific bones. Okay, so there are about 8 bones, and these are called as the carpals. How many carpals are there? 8 carpals are there. And then actually, carpals continue further to make metacarpals. How many are there? Total 5 are there. So total 5, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and it continues further, and this structure is actually called as the phalanges. So in the thumb, how many phalangic bones are there? Only 2. 1 2, that's it. In forearm, or like if you take the forefinger, so 1 2 3, middle finger 1 2 3, ring finger 1 2 3, last finger actually 1 2 3. So here you see 3 3 3 3, that is 12, and 2 14. So 14 phalanges. Okay, so that's all about the 4 limbs. So even actually you can imagine for the other limb also, that is nothing but another arm. Correct? Okay, simple, same, there is no difference. Okay, now comes the hind limbs. So if I just draw the structure of the hind limb, that is actually the leg, let me just show it to you. Okay, so it starts with again a head like this, which is bit ball shaped structure, so which is bit longer in shape, and this is called the femur bone, which is the longest bone in our body, longest bone. Okay, the femur actually continues further to form another bone actually like this. It goes like this. Again actually similar to our arm bones. Okay, so let me just show it to you here. Okay, you can see here. This is nothing but femur. Okay, so this structure. Okay, this is called as the tibia. This is tibia, and this one is the fibula. Fibula is compared to the ulna. Okay, so the tibia is compared to the radius of the forearm. Okay, so this is tibia. Let me write. It's called as tibia. Along with tibia, there is a tiny bone actually that is actually called as the fibula. Okay, and ultimately tibia and fibula is connected to 7 tiny bones, not 8. Okay, 7, only 7 tiny bones, and they are called as tarsals. So this is the difference now, the first difference. In forearm, how many carpals we have? 8. In this case, in the hind limb, okay, that is legs, that is we have 7 tarsals. This is the major difference, first difference. And now interestingly, between femur and tibia, there is a small bone here, which is also called as kneecap. This one, this is called as the patella. Okay, so this is called as the patella. So patella is the extra bone. Alright, so patella is the extra bone. Okay, now this is actually called as the tarsal, and now the tarsal continues to 5 tiny bones, and that is actually called as metatarsals. Okay, so that is 5. Okay, and the metatarsals again actually form phalanges. Again, it is similar to the phalanges present in the forearm. Okay, so that is 14. So 14 phalanges. Okay, now if you count it, so we have 1 femur, 1 patella, 1 tibia, that is 3, 1 fibula, then 4, and this is 7 or 11, and this one is 5, so that is 14, yeah, and ultimately 14 plus 1, 5, 19, 26, and 4, that is 30. Done. Easy. Got it? So this is the major difference between the hind limb and forelimbs bones. Got it? Okay. So please remember the articulation. So here we have a cavity. This cavity is called as acetabulum. Remember that, very important. Acetabulum. In the case of forearm, we have a cavity here in the scapula or the pectoral girdle, and this is called as the glenoid cavity. And what do you call for this structure? This is actually called as obturator foramen. So that's all about the appendicular skeletal system. I hope you understood. It's very simple, very easy. You can expect around 1 question from this particular skeletal system for your competitive examination. Anything could be asked. So remember that it's very simple. Okay. So thank you very much.